Hey guys, welcome back to another adventure with a staff. I'm Amanda, and you can see that our Disney hat is on, which means we are here for another tip and trick video. Today we are going to be talking all things Disney transportation, just a couple things that I've learned from our latest trip, and how we managed to get around Disney without staying on the property, what all that means, and how you can do it too. So come on an adventure with us. So today we are going to talk about how we got around Disney World, my family, which was me and my 3 kids, on our latest Disney trip. My husband did not go this past trip, so there were 4 of us. I booked our trip in 2 weeks, in an Airbnb right across from Disney World. We were actually about 1.5 to 2 miles away from Disney World. So, getting around, we used all kinds of different transportation modes. We used Uber, which I'm going to talk about that in more detail because that was an experience for us. We used the buses occasionally, we used the monorail, and we used the Skyliner, which I believe was our favorite. It was actually really, really cool. So, first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is Uber. And I just want to point out that I was not prepared for the price of Uber to get to Disney World. So, total transparency here, I had not used Uber. I know, shocker, it's 2021, like everybody Ubers. I had not personally scheduled an Uber before going to Disney World for myself. My husband has scheduled us a few Ubers before, and we've ridden different places in an Uber, but I had never done it myself. So I had briefly Googled before we went on the trip, how much an Uber would be from our Airbnb to Disney, which, like I said, it was 1.5 to 2 miles away. So I'm thinking, this is going to be cheap. We flew down there, so we did not have a car, and I did not want to rent one because I knew that we weren't going to be driving around. We were just going to the parks and back. And when I Googled, it said that Uber would probably be around $10-ish. So that's perfect, $20 a day. However, when we got there, I was in for a shock from the airport to the Airbnb. And of course, I figured that was going to be a little bit more because it is a further distance. I did see the Magic Express bus right there when we were getting into our Uber. They had pulled right up where you're loading and unloading. People were getting on very quickly. They were not having to wait in long lines to get on the bus. And if you don't know what that is, it is a shuttle service that Disney has that will pick you up from the airport and take you to your resort at Disney. Free of charge, you just get on there. I didn't get on there because we weren't staying at a Disney resort. But they are very friendly. They were very friendly. They were loading everybody's luggage in for them, and it was moving very quickly, like I said. I have heard of sometimes people having to wait quite a while to get on one of these, but we landed at 10:15 on a Monday morning, and they were moving very quickly. People were getting on, no wait, ready to go. My Uber was a very quick pickup. I mean, they're just circling around the airport, and we got on an Uber in 2 minutes. That was probably around $40-ish just because it was a further distance. We were not able to check into our Airbnb just yet because we did get there earlier in the day. However, our host was very gracious. They let us go ahead and drop our luggage off while they were finishing up cleaning. We dropped our luggage off, and because of COVID regulations, almost all Ubers are not allowing you to sit in the front seat anymore. So I could have gotten a car pre these COVID regulations because I would have been able to sit in the front and the 3 kids would have been able to sit in the back. However, I had to buy or pay for the SUV price Uber because nobody could sit in the front, which means all 4 of us had to be in the back and we don't fit in a car. So had to up that price and get the extra large SUV pricing for that. So that's what we did. We Ubered over to Disney Springs. They have a designated area where Ubers and like car services and stuff drop you off. And then you walk through like a screening process where they take your temperature and all of that. Very easy. It actually makes pickup, I think, super easy because you know exactly where to go and you're not like searching around wondering where they're going to pick you up. And they had some shaded benches and stuff for you to sit at and wait. So very nice. It was a little bit more than I was thinking. It was in the $25 range just to Uber to Disney Springs. And where we ended up spending a lot of money is on Uber, because that day that we got there, we actually went back and forth quite a bit trying to get checked in, and we had some groceries delivered to our Airbnb later in the day. And then we went back to Disney Springs. So we did jump back and forth the first day quite a bit. So we actually Ubered back over to the Airbnb, put our groceries up, got everything settled, and Ubered. We were going to go to the ESPN sports complex major. My son was very excited to go to that. However, they were having a private event and we could not do that. So Uber actually, I just told them, hey, why don't you just drop us off at this resort? I was seeing that the Skyliner was going. And so they dropped us off at the Caribbean resort there, and anybody can get on the Skyliner. Like, they don't check to see, you know, if you have a card or if you have a Magic Band or if you're a guest of that hotel. You can walk right on the Skyliner and go where you want to go. So I'm going to include a picture of what the Skyliner looks like. It's actually really cool. My kids loved it. It is a transportation option there, and they go several different places. You could go to Hollywood Studios. You could go to other resorts like Art of Animation and Pop Century. So we decided that we would just hop on the Skyliner and head on over to Art of Animation and Pop Century, which are two resorts that are side by side. Just because they have some really cool decorations, a really cool atmosphere, and it's a good idea to just kind of resort hop is what they call it, and check out these other resorts while you're there if you have time. So Art of Animation, we love it. They have a whole Cars area. They have Little Mermaid area where they have huge like statues of the characters. They have pools with that kind of theme. They have a Lion King area. We love it. Bonus tip, the pools were all open to just walk in. So we had packed some swimsuits in our backpack that I carry around when we're at Disney, and my kids just hopped into their swimsuit real quick in the bathroom, and we hopped into the pool, the Cars pool at Art of Animation. They had the best time swimming. Their pools are heated, so even though it was early March, they were nice and warm, and we had a great time. So little pro tip there, if you're doing a resort hop, throw those swimsuits in there in case you might want to take a little dip in one of their pools. They provide towels for you, so you don't have to worry about packing a towel. So again, we took that Skyliner there. So that was a very cool way to get where we needed to go. The kids loved it. It was super awesome. It's plenty big for a big family or several people to ride on comfortably, and it moves very quickly. The morning that we went to Hollywood Studios, we actually just Ubered over to that same hotel and got on the Skyliner and went straight to Hollywood Studios versus being dropped off. Uber was not allowed to drop us off early at Hollywood Studios, so this was the best option for us to get into Hollywood Studios early, was Ubering over to the Caribbean Beach Resort area, hopping on that Skyliner, and going straight to Hollywood Studios gates. So option for you to use that. If you're having to Uber, that would be an option for you. I will say that we ended up having to Uber back to our Airbnb that Monday evening. So all in all, I probably spent $150 to $175 on Uber the first day, just because the rates were higher than I was thinking, because you're going into Disney, so they do up the prices a little bit, and we had to get the larger vehicle to accommodate everybody because of the new regulations. So definitely more than I was expecting. But like I said, I wasn't going to rent a car. So depending on what you want to do, that was our option there. Now, Tuesday morning is when we got up to go to Magic Kingdom. And I knew we were going to be at Magic Kingdom all day long. So I had planned just to Uber there and Uber back. And again, I was shocked when I saw how much the fare was to Uber to Magic Kingdom. And it was about $50 to go 2 miles down the road to get into Magic Kingdom. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like that is a little bit ridiculous. $50 to go 2 miles in an Uber. So when I got in the Uber, I was like, hey, dude, what's the deal? Like, why is it expensive because it's a certain day, because we're going to a certain place? And he was like, yeah, pretty much. Certain days their prices can fluctuate, and certain places their prices will fluctuate. And it definitely did. Now, I have learned since then, check Lyft also. Sometimes Lyft will have a cheaper rate. And another tip, if you get an Uber driver your first day, sometimes they will give you like a card or your information. And everybody's trying to look out for themselves and help themselves, especially these Uber drivers. So if you call them directly, sometimes they will give you a better deal or will make a deal for you. So just a couple of tips there. Check Lyft, see if these Uber drivers have cards where you can call them directly and they're your driver every time, and maybe you can get a bigger and better deal on that. So yeah, about $50 to get there, just to get there. We stayed at Magic Kingdom all day, and we did have a little bit of a problem finding the Uber at the end of the night. So we stayed until park closing. I mean, like I said in our previous videos, we were like the last ones out of there. And it was a little bit confusing trying to figure out where to go to get back on our Uber. And we had to go to like the bus pickup area. But like I said, it was a tad bit confusing. Just for me personally, may not be for you, but that's where they picked us up, was in the like bus pickup area right out beside that. And to get home, it was a little bit cheaper. I want to say in the $20 to $30 range, but still, we weren't going far. So, like I previously mentioned, when we went to Hollywood Studios, we Ubered, tried to get straight into Hollywood Studios. They were not letting Uber in. They were not letting them into the drop-off early. So we actually ended up rerouting, going back to that hotel and getting on the Skyliner. The Skyliner line was very busy, but it moved very, very quickly. Lots of people that are staying in those surrounding hotels will just come on that Skyliner. It did move very quickly though, and it was a very short ride to get to Hollywood Studios, and we were in there in no time. On the way back, because Hollywood Studios closed earlier in the evening, we actually jumped on a bus. So we got on one of the Disney transportation buses, which are free to use there at Disney, and they take you all over anywhere you need to go. And we actually got on the bus and hopped over to the Animal Kingdom Resort and got off there and waited for another bus to take us over to Disney Springs. Very quick ride over to Animal Kingdom Resort. Very short wait to get on the Disney Springs bus. Now, I will say, when we got on the Disney Springs bus, they were counting people and only allowing so many on. We were actually the second family in line, so we got on the first time, but that bus was not full. I've been to Disney World before where it is like people right here in your face. That bus is crammed. They pack as many as they can on. That is not the case, or that was not the case for this bus. They counted and it was spaced out. There were not many people on there at all. So depending on where you are in line, it could take a little bit longer to get on a bus and get where you're going. Took the bus over to Disney Springs, and after we finished Disney Springs, that's when we called our Uber back to our room. Same thing for the day we left. We took an Uber back to the airport. And all in all, our experience with Uber was wonderful. They were very fast. We never waited more than 5 or 6 minutes for an Uber to arrive where we needed to be picked up. And they were very professional and all of that. I was just shocked with the overall price of just being dropped off a couple of miles away. Maybe you're okay with that. Maybe you're used to Uber. Just know that because you're going to Disney and on certain days, it could fluctuate. We also rode the monorail over one day. We rode the monorail when we got dropped off at Magic Kingdom. They dropped us off in like the bus area, not at like the front gates. So you did have to ride the monorail over to like the front gates, which was fine. The kids loved riding that. It's super cool if you've never ridden the monorail. It's like a train. And it went like through a hotel. It's really cool. So just be aware that Ubering there is a great option if you're flying and you don't want to rent a car, if you're not staying on property. Um, but you're not going to get dropped off like right at the gate. Sometimes you might have to maneuver around to different areas, and just be aware that it might be a little bit more than you were thinking. But overall, great experience. And it was fun, honestly, getting to ride all the different kinds of transportation. Like I said, the monorail, the buses, the Skyliner, they were all fun for everybody to experience. So I hope that you learned something useful. If you're going soon, I hope you can use these trips, and I hope to see you back on another adventure. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.